Nancy Cordes joins us now to talk about all this. Nancy, the speaker really seemed to drive home that very specific number of $1,182 the average family will save. First of all, do we know where that number comes from, and how will Democrats rebut that?
That comes from Republicans crunching their own numbers on this tax plan. And that is why we're sort of in a wait and see mode, because obviously they have an incentive to come up with the rosiest projections of what these new brackets will mean for everyone, all of the increases in the deductions and so forth. So we're really going to want to see what independent analysts say about this plan. Beyond that, an average only tells you so much. Sure, $1,200 is great, but if half of those middle-class families are getting a $4,000 tax break every year, and then the other half are paying $2,000 more than they pay now, then that's obviously a big problem for a lot of lawmakers. So, you have to remember when you hear these numbers that they are coming from Republicans who only finished crafting their plan late last night. So in some cases, these are very hastily crafted talking points about where their plan ends up. But you're right, they are thrilled with the final product, or at least say they are. And I talked to a number of House Republicans as they came out of their briefing with leadership this morning, and they said that they were overjoyed, that they love this plan, that they think it is aggressive both on the income side and on the corporate side. They believe that it is going to drive up growth, that it is going to increase wages, create more fairness. So for right now, we see a lot of unanimity on the House Republican side. And if there are members who are concerned, for example, about the elimination of deductions for state and local taxes, they aren't speaking up yet. They're giving Republican leadership kind of a honeymoon period right now.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but yeah, there is an awful lot of enthusiasm considering, like you said, they were negotiating till past the bitter end. They missed their own deadline, right? And still sort of trying to negotiate. We know there are components here that there are a number of lawmakers may still have a problem with it. The likelihood of this being anywhere close to the final product, I mean, how great is that?
Right, but it's still a lot farther, actually, than Republicans have gotten in recent years. Republican leaders have been saying for the past decade that their top priority is tax reform. But once you start putting pen to paper and trying to make trade-offs, that's where things fall apart. That's where you draw a lot of fire from the lobbyists and special interests. And when it's just one party working on its own and not both parties taking the leap, that can get a little bit intimidating. And so that's why there have been so many false starts over the years. So the fact that they actually now have a plan that they can look at, that they can talk about, that they can, say it would leave people with a $1,200 increase in their bottom line every single year. That alone is a big leap for Republican lawmakers, and that's behind a lot of the jubilation that you see today. It was not a sure thing that they would even get to this point, that even House Republicans among themselves, House Republican leaders, because a lot of the rank and file members were frankly left out of this. All of this was done behind closed doors, and your average House Republican really wasn't sure what was going to be in the plan until this morning. But the fact that even House leadership on the Republican side was able to come up with a plan is an important first step. Now the question is, can it survive the light of day? Can they withstand the fire that they get from lobbyists in K Street? You'll notice that while Paul Ryan and other Republican leaders talked a lot about how much people are going to save, you did not hear much about what kinds of loopholes they're going to cut, what kinds of deductions they're going to eliminate. In many ways, a lot of us are still in the dark about that, and there's a good reason for that. They don't want to give the special interests any more opportunity than they already have to trash the closing of any loopholes that they think will affect them adversely. And also, it's still not clear whether they really managed to close a lot of those loopholes in their plan. That's another wait and see element here.
So, Nancy Cordes, we will expect to hear from the Democrats very soon, in about a half hour or so. I'm sure we'll be speaking throughout the day. Nancy Cordes, as always, we thank you.
You're welcome.